Changing the culture at APD. It's a huge undertaking, teaching police officers not to shoot before they absolutely have to, teaching them how to make an arrest without resorting to unnecessary violence, and most importantly, getting everyone to buy into it. Tonight on Special Assignment, News 13's Chris McKee gives you a first-hand look inside APD's new use of force training.
Here, we'll talk about it.
Come here to talk, okay?
For Albuquerque police,
It goes a long way.
I don't care anymore.
it's lifelike situations,
I flipped out.
giving officers a chance to reset.
I think that definitely people are going to see that,
Hey, listen to me, okay?
that we're doing everything we can
Man, we want to help you out, dude.
to use only that force as reasonable and necessary at the time when those incidents happen.
Through classroom teaching
That can still be a show of force.
and hands-on,
You have a dispatcher.
real-world role-playing,
You know, it's important that we get this taken care of.
APD is now in the process of retraining every single officer in how and when to use force.
Okay, what technique are you going to use?
It's a key component of everyday work that the department has agreed to change nearly 2 years after the feds put their foot down.
The Albuquerque Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of violating residents' Fourth Amendment rights by using excessive force during police encounters.
A finding that came after years of public scrutiny and protests through the streets of Albuquerque for the department's history of controversial shootings, violent arrests, and expensive lawsuits.
And there's always those things that we could have done a little bit better, always.
Ray DeFrady says he hears the criticism and wants officers to get better. He's one of the officers who's created some of the new training material.
My entire chain of command through training has wholeheartedly agreed that we're not going to do a check the box, what we have to do training. We're going to do quality training that the officers are going to get a lot out of.
APD has completely rewritten its use of force policy. Instructors say what it means is a new emphasis on how officers should operate.
We're just trying to make our tactics better so that we're safer as officers and then we're less likely to have to use force.
So how does it all play out? Since February, every single APD officer has taken a week or 40 hours off of the job to learn. New use of force training starts in the classroom with 3 full days of instruction.
You'd rather have what? More distance.
Trainers are re-emphasizing that officers should keep their distance and use the minimum amount of force necessary.
I take a step or two back. What do they need to do? They need to now start over and observe what I'm doing.
They want officers to take more time to talk to people and think harder about if they should use any level of force. APD is also teaching officers to use tasers less.
We can no longer use it in drive stun mode alone.
That drive stun mode is when an electric current is jabbed directly into a person, causing intense pain. Officers are now required to fire the taser's darts first to try to incapacitate the suspect. The taser is now also considered one of the highest uses of force. Officers are being taught to go hands-on with uncooperative suspects more often.
Put your hands behind your back. Give me your answer.
2 days of the new training tests officers in realistic scenarios. The officer here is practicing the arrest of a resisting person for a misdemeanor.
I said, don't pull away from me. He pulled away from me again and started trying to flee.
Instructors are there too to critique the officer's reasoning behind their actions. It's feedback many officers say they haven't gotten since their police academy days.
You cover the 3 things, like severity of crime, immediate threat, and if he's actively fleeing or fighting.
Because APD is teaching officers to go hands-on more often,
It's harder for me because he's in a high guard.
they're also retraining officers on how to defend themselves when the suspect tries to get the upper hand.
It's a safe location to make mistakes. We can correct mistakes.
And when it comes to deadly force, officers are still using interactive video to train.
Sir, stop! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
But perhaps one of the most critical new training scenarios is this.
I just want to tell her I'm sorry.
I will. Can I, Mike, if I get you to take a step back, I'll let her know. Pause.
The man is an actor, armed with a fake knife and pretending he wants to hurt himself or anyone else. APD is training officer Ramiro Garza how to talk the man down. Instructors pause the action to make corrections.
You may be getting sucked into this conversation, but the problem here may be that your partner may be forced to use force if he keeps getting closer. I need you to recognize the danger because of the proximity and let him know that he needs to back up.
We've done good so far, man, but I need you to step back.
Officer Garza has been with APD for 7 years.
It's very challenging. We've had training in the past, but nothing, I think, as far as to this caliber. It's a little more intense, which I think is good.
Some civil rights groups, like the ACLU, feel encouraged by the new training.
Absolutely. Those are the two things that I think we're most looking for would be the increased use of reality-based scenarios so that officers get a condition to the kinds of reflexes they should have in certain circumstances, and then also an emphasis on de-escalation.
But Simonson says ultimately, if APD is going to change, officers have to buy into the new ideas and be held accountable if they don't. Garza admits it's hard to have the feds come in and say you need to do your job differently.
It is what it is right now.
But he believes what officers are learning now is being taken to heart.
Most people here, I believe that they want to help. They want to help, the citizens. They want to give back to the community. That's one thing I do pride myself on, is doing the best that we can and I can.
On special assignment, Chris McKee, KRQE News 13.
APD's entire force is set to finish the new use of force training by the end of the month, while the Federal Monitor could have a first critique of that training in July. Open the KRQE app now for a deeper look at APD's new use of force rules, including a copy of their old policies.